Morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hate cold coffee. Coffee's already cold. This video, for a number of reasons, has just been super challenging to make, which it's one of those just funny things. Yesterday was so windy, and then I was making pecan brittle. I'm allergic to pecans. So it's like a self-sacrifice act of love, but it's a gift that I give to the teachers and the dojo people and the co-workers for my husband and everybody else. Anyways, so it's made me a little harsh. And then I just had technical issues and the dog barking, so I had to come inside, and then more technical issues. And then I started making the video and tangent, like just crazy. I'm all over the place. This moon that's coming up has got me. So we'll talk about that in the next video. Right now, let's stay focused. Stay focused. We are on our introspective journey. We are almost done with the introspective journey. When next, I think it's Tuesday. Tuesday is the winter solstice. So we're almost there. There's only a couple questions left. So if this is your first day joining us, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal about what order you do the questions in, or if you do all of the questions. You're here because you're meant to be here. And today is the question for you. We sometimes get too caught up in doing things in a specific order, or we've got to do it the right way, that we forget to have that experience. So this introspective journey that's what it's about, is having the experience of looking inward and getting to know yourself better, and coming out on the winter solstice in this new place of like enlightenment. So, and not necessarily like ascending to higher spirituality, but maybe you just know yourself better so that you can have a better year. You can build some confidence. You can direct your path more in the way that you want it to go. You can be closer to your ideal self, all of those things. And so that's the goal. So today's question is, I think it's 45, but I'm really bad with the numbers this year. But that's, like I said, we get too caught up in those numbers, and then we're like, I got to do it in this order, and now I failed. You don't have to. What's important is that you take that time to be with yourself. So the question today is, am I where I want to be in my spiritual practice? So most of us come from Christianity or Judaism or some other monotheistic path. And in all of those paths, you get a book. And it says, here is the book. You probably also get some other books and some pamphlets and some other stuff that's like, here are the rules. This is what you need to do. Here's how it is. And it's really easy to say, hey, I go to church every Sunday. I go to prayer group. I do the holiday stuff. I get together with the church. I participate. I pray before I eat. I got all the boxes checked. I am succeeding in my spiritual practice. But as you find, that is not necessarily fulfilling. And that's why a lot of us come over to paganism. So when you come into paganism, yes, there are some paths that you can take that have more of a set doctrine. Wiccan is more of set rules. You can even find different types of Wiccan. You can be very devout to Gerald Gardner's form. I can't say Gardenian. I don't know how to say it. There's a word for it, but it's when you practice exactly what Gerald Gardner practiced and how he said to practice. You can follow more of an Aleister Crowley path, or maybe you've read all the Scott Cunningham books. Whoever it is that you choose to read or follow, some of them really do provide, here's a set of rules and follow these rules and do it like this and then you'll succeed. You can get chords and levels and there's a hierarchy and all of that stuff. So for some people that fits really nicely. You're already kind of used to that structure. It all kind of fits nicely together and that works for you. And so if that's your path, are you where you want to be along that path? For a lot of other people who the whole reason you got away from Christianity or monotheism or structured religion in general is because that structure wasn't providing the fulfillment in which you looked for or needed or yearned for. And so you set upon a new spiritual path. And this isn't one where somebody's like, okay, here's your book. take it, you read it, and go along your journey. This is a path that you create. This is a path that each step that you take is yours, and you are creating your spiritual journey. And that's a beautiful thing. It can provide for a lot of beautiful experiences. You just have to take those steps to achieve those experiences. And so when we begin to ponder, am I where I want to be in my spiritual journey, in my spiritual practice, and my spiritual being? I'm a pretty big firm believer that the answer to this is always no. Because unless, like Buddha, you have reached the place of ascension and you no longer are held by the experiences needed in this world in order to receive your higher gifts, so that this is your last life on this earth, you are moving on. I don't think a lot of people are at that. I think the majority of us are not there. And so we can all say, to some degree, no, here are the things that I want, and here are the things that I have, and here are the things that I'm missing. And help to see how you want to define that spiritual path and where you are on that spiritual path. And again, this can be really challenging because there's no book that's like, here are the boxes. I know pagans who don't believe in gods. I know pagans who are universalists, and so they believe in a universal energy and do not define it by the constrictions of this reality. I know science-based pagans who literally practice to the science of the Earth's angles, and they're very, science-based. And I enjoy some parts of that. And maybe someday I'll make some videos on it. But there is all of this magic in the natural world around us that we see through science and we experience in that way. So I'm very drawn to that nature, which is funny because I didn't take science classes until I was in college. I wasn't ready for that experience. And then, like I said, there are Wiccan and heathen and Greek, and these all have more of a path. And then you have what's called the Eclectic Path, which we take a little bit from everything. And as long as that's done from a place of respect and understanding and learning and respect, honor, that's what that's about. So I watched this Vice News special on these Japanese subculture who is, they mimic the 1990s Vato culture. So the lowriders and the khaki pants and the button on top and the bandanas and the whole thing. And the Vice reporter, she's like, well, isn't this cultural appropriation? Like, don't you feel like this is wrong? And that you don't, and the lady from Japan, who, looking at her, you would really think, I kept having flashbacks to that teacher movie from the 90s. Anyways, she just, looking at her, you would never think that she was in Japan. You would think that she was in Los Angeles in 1992. But she says no. She says so in Japanese culture, they see it as mimicry as a sign of respect. And so if you mimic someone else's behavior, it's you respecting them and you honoring them. And so that they have learned all they can. They talk to people who are from Los Angeles who are in this culture. They've seen all of the movies. They, the ones who have the ability have come over and met people in Los Angeles and it's a place of honor and respect, and they're not doing it to steal something away from these people. They're doing it because they really honor and love it, and they think that it's beautiful. And when you take in your spirituality and you're going to another culture and you're looking into other things, we live in a modern era where we can reach out to someone from South America who practices Peruvian shamanism and actually talk to them and say, hey, I am fascinated by your culture and by what you do, and I think that it's beautiful and amazing, and I want to learn more. I've reached out to people from Nigeria to learn more about, Nigerian magic and West African magic and all of that stuff. And I have met some really nice people. They asked me questions about like white people paganism, and I asked them questions about African paganism, and it is a really beautiful exchange of information. And I remember one time asking about a specific holiday and a god, and I was just so confused because all of the research that I was finding was not fitting together. There was like some serious disconnect, and I was like, okay, well, there's something missing. So I asked him, and he responded with paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of information telling me about how they actually practice this holiday every year and what they actually do. Excuse me. And it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And I can see why a lot of the information was redacted, because some of the practices aren't necessarily worldwide culturally appropriate, acceptable. I don't know. They are viewed through ethnocentric views of colonized people. And so it's funny, then they're whitewashed out of the information that we're allowed to read about. But because I went to a source and I never met this person in person. They live in Nigeria. But I reached out to this person and I talked to this person, and they were very open and they shared all of this information with me. And it was a beautiful exchange. And it helped me to deepen my own spiritual practice. I love learning about other cultures and how they connect with the divine energy and connect with the earth's energy and practice their paganism, because it helps you to see the connection universally between all pagans and even in Christianity, and how they practice and what they practice and how they connect to the moon and the sun and the stars and the seasons and the holidays and all of those things. You see a lot of things that are similar, not that are different. The names that they use are different. The physical descriptions that they use are different. But that's just like when you ask somebody, is Jesus black or white? I know it's... Okay? Realistically, he was of Middle Eastern descent, being a Jew from Egypt, only in that area a couple hundred years. So he would have probably looked like one of the nomadic people of Egypt. Not white. Anyways. When we think of our spirituality, it's depicted in a way that's comfortable for us. So when we're building our own faith in paganism, which you're allowed, you're encouraged, that's what you're doing, you can draw on these different cultures and see what connects to you. When people ask me, they're like, well, you can only practice what your family would have practiced or what your culture or this or that. Well, if you look through my genetic heritage, I have African American, I have Native American, I have Irish and Irish and Scottish. They lived on the border, so you can't say they were all one or all the other. It was like a slew of of that. And then I've got Swedish and Norwegian on the other side, and so it's not just one. You can't just say, okay, it's this one. I can't say the majority is this. And then if I look, and then I always bring in, and what about your past lives? You don't think that your past lives and where your soul has been has an impact on who you are and what you're drawn to spiritually? If this is the first time in your path of lives that you've been a white person, maybe none of the white gods call to you. Maybe you're really drawn to a different culture because that's where you came from in your last life or several lives. And that's into past life regression. So there are a lot of influences on your spirituality. And at this point, we can't say, bam, that's it. And so when we ask ourselves this question of, am I where I want to be on my spiritual path? It's really important not to judge yourself super harshly. This is another one of those things where we make like an odd Venn diagram where, what is my ideal spiritual path? What am I actually doing? And what can I do to kind of bring more of this into that? And so if you feel like you're not doing anything, maybe find small ways throughout the day to add your spirituality. Maybe every night for 2 minutes, go outside and with a glass of water, toast to the moon. Now, I know some people are like, oh my God, you can't toast with water, but I don't drink and I don't have coffee. I toast to the sun. But I'm not going to I drink coffee and water. That's it. So, for me, toasting water to the moon is very pure, and that's the toast that you're making to the moon's in that connection, And even if it's just literally you go outside, you find the moon in the sky, and you look at it, and you say, hello, moon. And then you go inside, and that's it. You just take that moment to go every night and look at the moon. And every day in the morning, you go look at where the sun is coming up. And just for that one moment, connect with that energy. Take that time to take a deep breath. At lunchtime, you go outside, you take 5 minutes just to take in the energy of the earth. Maybe you start doing yoga for 10 minutes. I got a great yoga lady, Yoga with Cassandra. She has all these 10-minute yoga videos. We all have 10 minutes. And if you don't, I'm sorry, find 10 minutes in your day. You can do it. Or whatever it is that calls to you. And kind of follow that path and do something along those lines. If you've done those little things and now you're like, okay, I need the next level, think about what will bring you to that next level of, I feel more confident about my spiritual path. We are always learning, we are always growing, and we're always going to have some, I want this, okay? So don't let that discourage you. What's important is that you are taking that time to connect with your spirituality, to connect with yourself, to connect with the earth and the elements and the energies and all of those things. And so when you are pondering this question, really, again, like I said, make up that kind of list of what do I have in my spiritual path? What do I want in my spiritual path? And how can I bring more of that together? It's like a triangle on its side, like this. And here is your little star. Oh, I need this. And set up some goals and think about your spiritual path. And if you feel like there's something missing, maybe meditate on, say intuition, help me to guide me into what I need to see. So I could go on and on and on about this, but I don't want to because I have to make this moon video. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day. I challenge you to think about your spiritual journey and ask yourself, am I where I want to be on my spiritual path? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you all tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm not going to toast because my coffee's cold. I got to go get new coffee. But have a good day, everybody.